People, what's up, family? What is up, family? Let me know if you are here. Type a message in the chat. Let me know where you are connecting from. Say hello to me so I can know that the live is working and that you're here. Also, do me a favor, if you don't mind, click that share button and share this video live or the replay to your page so that others can join in on this conversation. We're going to have a juicy conversation tonight. We're going to talk about evolving and outgrowing. There's a lot happening with many of you out there from what I'm hearing out in these internet streets, and also with my clients, my friends, and even myself, right? So I want to hear from you. Let me know where you're typing in from, where you're connecting from. Hey, Thais, you made it. Latonda connecting from Louisville, Kentucky. Oh, so good to see you guys. Paige is here. Hey, beautiful. Talisha's in here. Hi, Talisha. Are you in North Carolina? Tamika, hey, beautiful soul. Jermaine is here. Yes. Jamila Justine in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Thais is in New Jersey. Awesome. So good to see you guys tonight. If you're just joining us, drop a note in the chat and let me know where you are connecting from. Hi, Thais. We have a Thais and a Thais in here. Benny, what's up, friend? How have you been? From Georgia today. Yes. So good to see you all. So I know we're letting a couple more folks come on in. But we've got a juicy conversation. We're going to talk about evolving, outgrowing, and we're also talking about my semi-retirement. Yes, this is true. This is happening. I'm retiring from being a full-time psychic. I'm going to explain exactly what that means because I sent a very long, detailed message out to all my subscribers and nobody really read it. They read the headline. It was like, I'm never going to get another reading again. Yes and no. Things are changing. I'm scaling back. I'm cutting back. I'm going to get into that in a minute, but I want to let folks get in here so we can get this conversation going. Hey, Portia in Southern PG County, Maryland. Tamika in Beaufort. I'm good. How are you? Paige, she's in South Cackalack, South Carolina. I know, right? Shelly says she read it. Okay, so somebody read my actual email because I've been getting text messages. I've been getting emails. I've been getting phone calls, messages on my social media. People like, oh no, you're quitting. And I said, that's not what I said. I said I'm retiring as a full-time psychic. That also means that there are changes to the way that I'm doing reading. Anthony Farmer, you said 31st Street in Mount Rainier, Maryland. First of all, that's my neighborhood where I grew up. But you gave us your whole street, Mount Rainier, Maryland. Hey, Tama, what's up, sis? I'm so glad to see you in here. Now I know it's going to be extra juicy. Okay, so Jermaine said, I fully support all your changes. Thank you, love. I appreciate that so much. The people who did read the email, the response has been totally, overwhelmingly, beautifully positive. Even those who didn't read it were like, you're retiring. I'm happy for you. Someone said, you're quiet quitting yourself. Hi, Courtney. What's up, lady? Good to see you all. Really good to see you all. I've been traveling a little bit for work, et cetera, and family. I went home to Maryland to see my niece graduate from high school. Oh my God. She's going to Morgan State in the fall. April said, April in Atlanta, Georgia. I didn't want to accept that retirement title in the email. Hey. Well, actually, let's get into it. Let's get into it. So if you're new, please hit the like button. Please hit the share button. Let people know where you are connecting from in the chat. Hello to all the YouTube folks. Hello to all the Facebook folks. Hello to the folks here on the live and those who will be watching on the replay. Yes. Tamer says, I'm so excited for you. Thank you. Angelique in Atlanta. Hey, Angelique. Kathy in Beaufort, South Carolina. Wonderful. So good to see you guys. Okay, so let's get into it. Overall, here's, I think, what's happening in the world. Whenever I start to see a lot of people asking about or sharing about the same kind of thing, I know that something is up energetically. So at the same time that I'm getting my own spiritually guided instructions, very clear instructions that came in May. As I was teaching my empath energy reset class, we were talking about boundaries, we were talking about energy. Towards the end of that 6 weeks, 6 session program, I started getting some very clear message about my next move. Some things had been percolating for a while, and I was thinking in the fall there would be some big changes. And then I got a very clear message: you need to do this right now. Do not carry this into your 50th year. My birthday is in a couple of weeks. I am turning 50, y'all. 50 and fabulous. Hey, Denise. Hey, Akeisha and Maryland. Yes. So I got a very clear message, like, do not carry this beyond July 1st. My birthday's on July 5th, and I'll be doing a little bit of traveling. And I got a very clear message. These are the changes that need to be made. Do not wait. Put this in effect now. And I was like, okay. But anyway, I'll talk more about that. But energetically, when I'm hearing the same thing from a variety of people, friends, colleagues, clients, coaching clients, intuitive reading clients, all of that, it gets interesting. And I start really paying attention, like, what's really going on here. We are clearly in a season of expansion and change for so many of us. Some of this is about changes that energetically may have begun during the pandemic, but are now starting to play out. Hi, Linda. Hey, Dion. Dion, got to shout out Dion. That's my one of my cyber BFFs. We were friends for probably 10 years before we even met in person. But she has a beautiful coaching practice called Age with Vibrancy. Definitely check her out. Okay. But we're in the season of expansion and change. And the question is, are you going to trust what's happening? Are you trusting how you're being guided? So what's been showing up is I have a coaching client who basically was like, I've outgrown my team. I'm closing up my business. I'm moving across the country and reopening in another place with new people. I had recently a very dear friend. We had a beautiful heart-to-heart conversation, and she was like, I think I'm outgrowing my friend circle, my social circle. And first of all, I need a reality check. Like, is this in my mind or is this real? And what do I do? How do I navigate this? Meanwhile, many of my intuitive clients are saying the same thing. Like, I think every day that I've done reading, someone is asking me, I think I'm outgrowing my friendship circle. I think I'm outgrowing this relationship, this friendship, sometimes even this intimate relationship, this marriage, this partnership. But I'm seeing a lot of people asking me about, am I outgrowing these friendships? And if so, what do I do? How do I know that I'm outgrowing it versus just something temporary? And is there an action that needs to take place? And a lot of this, of course, the answer is going to be unique to that individual person's situation. But overall, well, first of all, drop a chat in the chat. Drop a number 2. Did I just say drop a number 2? No, we are not talking about dropping deuces. Drop a number 3. Let's change that up, the energy of that. Let's change that up. Drop a number 3 if you feel like you may be outgrowing some friendships or social circles. Okay. Yeah. Well, Dion said I had to cut my brunch bunch. We outgrown. Jermaine said I've been outgrowing friendships that are 40 plus years. Wow. Thais says 3. Tama says 3. Wow. Anthony Farmer says 3. Tamika Walker says 3. Courtney says 3. Yeah, there's a lot of 3s in here. Shelly says 3. Portia says, yes, I'm growing through career changes. 3. Angelique, 3. I can't even keep up with these on the screen. Denise, 3. April, 3. Dion, 3. Simone, 3. Rika, hey Rika, 3. Benny, 3. Always. Right. Okay. Authenticity says career level up in progress. Yeah. Michelle says since 2020 outgrowing. Okay, so there's a lot of people where that's resonating, and we haven't even talked about outgrowing career or the way that you're working. There's something, even if you don't know what is next, but the feeling like this doesn't work for me anymore, either what I'm doing for a living or how I'm doing it. Let's drop a number 4 if you feel like there's something in your work life that you are outgrowing. Jermaine says, "Her friends are feeling rejected." Yeah. Paige says, "I think 3, but I'm in all kinds of changes. I feel like right now." Yeah, that's real. Yeah. Rika says, "Same with April." So yeah, drop a 4 if you feel like some of this work stuff, livelihood stuff, career stuff, calling, the way that you make a living is shifting. All of these 4s, and Anthony says big. Yeah, Taylor says it feels so good to know it's not just me, because child, I am retired from the way I work, new everything. Yep. Angelique says 4. Simone says it's time to quit the job. Yep. Authenticity says that part. Yes. Okay, lots of agreements on this 4, which is the career piece. Okay, so let's look at this. First of all, how do you know when it's time to shift? So actually, let me throw that question out to you guys. How do you know when it feels like it's time to shift? How do you know? What's the indicators that make you feel like I'm outgrowing this? What's making you ask the question? That what has shown up that makes you feel like I'm outgrowing this? Tamika said the shift is real. Yes, it is. Yeah. There's a book by, is it Robert Holden? I think it's Robert Holden, called Shift Happens, which is a play on the word shit happens. Tammy says one of the ways that shows up for her is that she can't rest. Simone says being in that space begins to feel uncomfortable. Yep. Paige says when things aren't working right or making you happy anymore. Linda says, I just feel it intuitively. Yep. Kathy said, not comfortable. Hey, Damali. Damali says, body starts feeling uncomfortable. Shelly says, despondency. Courtney said, I don't know. I just let it happen. Angelique is like feeling uncomfortable in areas that I have been comfortable for years. Yes. Thais said, when it no longer feels good, the universe brings on unexpected changes. Yep. Rika said, discomfort going around certain places, being around certain people. April says, uncomfortable. Hey, Eugene. How are you? Anthony Farmer, when I can't do it the old way and it looks like being stuck. Yes. Portia said people acting brand new on you or unhappy with overall work energy. Yep. Denise said you're excluded, your energy drained and it doesn't feel right. Authenticity 3 says reducing return on professional efforts. My soul was unsettled until I said no more. This is all good. And I'm wondering, just for those who are watching and listening and not actually typing in the comments, how many of these other comments are really like resonating with you, how other people are experiencing this. Cindy says feeling of chaos, can't get grounded. I'm a hot ass mess today, all over the place. Thais says, yes, feeling stuck and can't move forward. Yes, absolutely, all of this. So Dion said my spidey senses are tingling when things are out of alignment. That's how I am too. And sometimes it feels like, it's gradual sometimes. Sometimes it's like sudden and obvious. Sometimes it's gradual, such as when you're wearing your old favorite pair of shoes. You love these shoes. There's nothing wrong with the shoes per se, but then they just start to rub wrong just a little bit as it gets stretched out and worn out. They just rub you a little bit wrong, just a little bit, and your foot isn't quite as comfortable. And over time, that rubbing gets worse and worse until it actually is bothering you. Some cases, you may even have a blister. You're like, oh, this isn't working anymore. Adrian, you're never late. You're just on time. Always on time. I'm sorry to hear that you aren't feeling well. Happy Monday to you too. I hope you feel better. So yeah, and there are signs, and sometimes it isn't that there's something wrong, although that's definitely one of the ways. Sometimes it's like a gentle nudge, just in a different direction, a push or a pull to go in a different direction, even if it's not clear. It's just like go that way. It won't tell you why, but just go that way, right? So that's very common. I want to talk about what do you do with that. Let's first talk about the friendship situation. Right. What do you do when you feel like you're outgrowing, or how do you know the difference between, this is just a temporary, we're just not on the same page temporarily versus it's time for me to move on. And sometimes it's not an all or nothing situation. There are times where it's so clear, like we are complete here. Like there's nothing else to see here. Right. There are times when it's like that. Other times it's a lot more nuanced and a lot more ambiguous. Sometimes it's not always tangible. And it might feel like, well, one of the symptoms of that, or the signs, is avoidance. Do you find yourself avoiding certain people who you used to not avoid, who you used to enjoy their company, but now it's like, oh, I don't want to see these people? Or you see the message pop up on the phone and it's like, or you see them ringing and you just let it go to voicemail, right? Tammy says there's a time and a season for everything. That's right. So Jermaine says, I feel like let's see, I belong. I don't feel like I belong. I feel like I'm not with my tribe. Yeah, that's definitely one of the ways. So avoidance is one of the ways. Sometimes it's absolute clear toxicity where there's betrayal of trust. And there's layers to betrayal of trust. Sometimes it's not intentional. It's something that can be worked through. Other times it's, no, this just doesn't feel right in my spirit. And maybe I've tried to address it. Or maybe I've tried to bring it up and not, if these are people that you care about, or maybe it's a family member where you may not be in a position to just fully walk away because you're going to see this person a lot. Maybe it's time to bring it up in a conversation if that feels right to you, because it could be a misunderstanding. But if there's a repeated thing going on, or your spirit is just not at ease with this person or this group, then it's time. And sometimes it's a complete break. Sometimes it's, I can love you from afar. We're just not going to be spending that much time together anymore. You're not going to have that much access to me anymore, and I wish you well. Sometimes it's much more subtle. Actually, sometimes it's harder when it's subtle because you're questioning and second guessing, follow my mind, and am I doing the right thing? Other times it's just like, there's nothing else to say here. There's actually nothing to say. And you have to make decisions about how you're going to address that and how you're going to move forward, and whether this is, and at that point, it's not even about what they're doing or not doing. And sometimes there isn't an offense. It's just they're moving that way and you're moving this way, right? But you have to get your own closure in a way that feels good to you. And sometimes closure involves having a conversation with the other person. But sometimes closure, you don't need the other person. There was a quote graphic I shared about a month or so ago that said, closure is a lie. It's a lie that keeps you stuck. You don't actually have to always have that conversation. There's a time, and it's based on how you feel in your spirit. If you feel like you're avoiding and running away, then maybe you need to have a conversation. But if you just like, you know what, I'm complete, nothing left to say, then that's okay too. Hey, DeAndrew, what's up, love? Jalinda said, when you're with them, you're not related to or interested in any of the conversation. Yes. Tamara said, this is insightful. Peace can definitely be a sign of being complete. Yes. Here's one of the ways that I know that I'm in alignment, especially if I've been feeling out of alignment, or if I've been feeling ungrounded, or if I've been feeling frustrated, or like something is off, whether I know exactly what it is or I can't quite put my finger on it. One of the ways that I know that I am moving into alignment is when I'm figuring out, what do I do about this? The answer feels like a relief. When the answer feels like a relief is one of the ways that alignment shows up. Relief is a more aligned feeling than the frustration. So if you're moving along this, emotional spectrum, if you're angry, frustrated, confused, heartbroken, whatever, moving into a place that feels like relief, or overwhelmed also, moving into relief actually is moving closer and closer to alignment. It is alignment because it means that I'm no longer trying to fit things or force things or figure out things that aren't figure outable. Sometimes everything that is a problem is not necessarily a logical solution. Sometimes we are in a situation that we're trying to think our way through, and it's not a thinking situation. We're going to have to feel our way through. And that may not be what you're most comfortable with. Okay? Yep. Relief is one of the ways that alignment shows up. Yep, exactly. Because it's like, oh, sometimes quitting your job, even when you don't have a new job, feels like the most relief. So just think about that as you are sitting with your options of how to navigate this evolving landscape, and the feeling of outgrowing, meaning that, no one is anti-involvement, but sometimes the feeling of outgrowing can feel conflicted for people, especially if you have abandonment issues where you've been abandoned in the past, and then feeling like you are leaving someone behind, if that's how you're experiencing the situation, can feel bad for you because that's an unhealed area for you of, I know what it feels like to be left or abandoned, so I don't want to do this to other people. But if you are honoring yourself in your heart, that's not necessarily abandonment. It's all in how you do it, and whether you do it with love, because they don't want you, the highest part of them doesn't want you to be in a non-aligned situation either. You both need to be free to find a situation, person, group, people, individual, relationship that is aligned for both of you. You don't want to be holding someone hostage in a relationship, and you don't want to be held hostage in a relationship. I don't want any relationship like that. I don't know about you, but I want everybody involved to be there of their own free will and desire and intention, not because they have to be there or because they are there out of duty and just duty and obligation. I don't want that. If you don't want to be here with me, then I would rather you be free. That's just me, right? Denise said, did that 2 years ago. Yep. Authenticity said, the day my last job was eliminated was absolute relief. I knew it would be okay, and I was excited. Yep. Taylor said, mm-hmm. Tamika said, thank you for this clarification. You're welcome, love. Denise said, did that 2 years ago. Best decision I made was leaving a position. Yeah. So part of the question is, what's your history? What is your pattern? Is your pattern more on the side of, I quit it too quick and now I have regrets? Do you experience that more? Or is your pattern more, I stayed too long and wish I should have left or ended it sooner? What is your history? Because the answer in the most aligned, inspired, intentional action is not going to be the same for every person. So you have to look at, what is your history? Is your history of staying in something too long until you got nothing left, you're exhausted, resentful, or even more damaged or abused? Or is your history to cut and run and not stay to either attempt to work things out or at least to find out what the situation is? What is your history? Tama says, I stayed too damn long. Dion said the latter, staying too long. Tamika said both. Okay, so you're gonna have to do a lot of soul searching. April said stayed too long. Denise said stayed too long. So, okay, if you're answering the question as usually I'm staying too long, then the feeling of outgrowing, you need to act more quickly on that. If your history is stay too long, then part of your healing is about not being in denial about what is actually happening, not being delusional about what is actually happening, not and your healing comes in believing, if it's a people situation, a relationship situation, part of your healing is about believing someone when they show you who they are the first time. And if your history is staying too long, you're probably already on time number 10. So what is keeping you there that's making you feel guilty or obligated or dependent on this person or this situation? Because there is no person that is your supply. People are just vehicles. God, universe, source, whatever is your supply. Just like your job is not your supply. Job is just a vehicle. Your business is not a supply. Your business is just a vehicle. And so if you get attached to that person as that's my only source of whatever, affection, love, money, protection, safety, security, blah, 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 then you are always going to be betraying yourself in order to stay there to receive that because you're confused about your supply. That's like saying, I have a phone. The phone needs energy. The phone is my supply. No, the phone is not the supply. The charger where you plug the charger into is the supply. It's not even the cord. That's not the supply for your phone. It's what are you plugged into. So you can switch phones and still have power. You can switch phones and still have power, right? Portia said, I know my current job no longer has room for me to grow and I've outgrown the job. Good for you to know that. So you know what to put into place. Damali and PJ both said staying too long. CS Mars says both. Keisha says finger snaps. That's a whole word. He says true. April says guilt. Yep. So guilt is when you feel guilty, you're out of alignment. When you feel I'm here because I have to be, you're out of alignment. If you feel like if I would leave and there was no repercussions, I'd be gone already, you're out of alignment. Then it means you're already supposed to be gone or you need to be actively working your exit plan. Sometimes there's no time for exit planning. It's just time to go. With the clothes on your back and the money in your pocket, whatever you got with you, sometimes it's just time to bounce, right? So I wanted to share that. So, okay, I wanted to share that because the question was coming up so often. And guilt and shame are definitely indicators that you're out of alignment, including who am I to have a good life and leave these people behind. But I need to ask you the bigger question, because the answer is always in the question, but it's about asking better questions. It's not who am I to leave these people behind, but it's who am I actually serving by staying miserable? That's the better question. Who am I actually serving by staying miserable? You staying for the kids, so you're modeling for the kids that love is sacrifice and misery and being totally unhappy. Is that what you're like? What is the real question? Because when we ask the better question, we get the better answer. Oh, Tama's up in here dropping knowledge. Both shame, guilt, and shame require punishment. Ooh, mic drop. Courtney says, recently I've been feeling dis-ease when it comes to my job, not just my job, but just the 8 to 5. I opened my Reiki business, but I can't leave my job until the business builds momentum. This is the dilemma that every full-time entrepreneur has faced at one point, including me. There comes a point when your job gets in the way of your business, but you're thinking to yourself, I can't make it until my job generates my full-time income. Well, your job is never going to, I'm sorry. There comes a time when you want to leave your job and the job is getting in the way of you growing your business, but your business isn't yet generating the full-time income, not the job. When your business isn't yet generating the full-time income and you're like, the business can't grow because I don't have the time to invest in it because I'm at this full-time job, my 9 to 5 or my 8 to 5 or whatever. But yet it's like a catch-22. So you're going to have to make a decision. And I can tell you that my decision, and probably most full-time entrepreneurs' decision, was I can't make a full-time living from my job until I can't make my full-time living from my business until I make my business full-time. Okay? It's like you want full-time return from a part-time investment. So you're going to have to make a decision. And what I generally will talk to aspiring full-time entrepreneurs about is, so if you need some kind of stability while you're growing the business, maybe you need a different day job, not a job that actually drains your soul, not a job that has a kind of schedule where it interferes with you trying to run the business and grow the business and get it off the ground. But if your goal is to grow the business and make that your full-time thing, then it doesn't matter what kind of job you have, because you're no longer climbing a career ladder to get a status job or to move up into a new position. Just get a job that gives you some money, not enough money to make you too comfortable, not enough money that you won't ever leave to get the business going. But at some point, you're going to have to decide what your bigger priority is, and you're going to have to take a leap. And no one ever feels ready. Nobody ever feels ready. That's the reality of entrepreneurship. So you may have some soul searching to do. And if you're not ready to go into your business full time, get a different job that makes it easier for you to run your business, and give yourself 1 year or 18 months, or give yourself a deadline. Like, I'm going to do this to pay these XYZ bills so that I can continue to reinvest my business revenue back into the business to get it to grow more quickly. Because if I draw a salary from it, it won't grow as quickly. But this is a conscious decision. It's intentional, and it's for a limited amount of time. So, if you want your business to give you full-time income, you need to give it full-time energy. It needs to be your main character in the story, right? Okay. Tama said, Dion says, "Ooh, I need to hear that." Courtney says, "Yeah, the single mom fear is there." Yep. Michelle said, "That's a fact." Hey, Michelle, congratulations. I haven't talked to you in a while, but I have been following you on social media and your retreats for moms, your self-care retreats for moms. You go, girl. I see you out here doing that thing. I love it. Tama said, "My decision is that my joy is my best currency. I am where the money resides. Lead with joy, you always thrive." That is a whole word. Mic drop, mic drop. Okay, just so y'all know, if y'all don't know, Tama is the CEO and founder of the Womb Sauna, which is a women's wellness business, which started with V-steams and other things. And she pioneered that, and it teaches other people how to do it. She's been often imitated, never duplicated. And she's also a dear friend of mine. So I would really, follow her on social media. She's gonna make you think. You don't always have to agree with her, but she will make you think. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome, Michelle. I'm always happy to shout out people who are doing amazing things. Like, I I don't believe in competition. I feel like there's enough for everybody to thrive. I host retreats too, but I'm gonna still shout you out because you out here doing your thing. What's for you is for you, and what's for me is for me, right? I love you too, Tamar. So again, so the question was about the business. You at some point you have to shit or get off the pot. It may not be today, and that's okay. It may not be today, but if you're waiting to feel ready, you just might as well quit because there's never a time when you're just gonna be like, I'm just always ready. Even I've been in business, what, 27 years now, different businesses. I still don't feel ready, but I also know when it's time to move, it's time to move. And I trust the divine unfolding of my life. That's something I live by. I also have acknowledged and accepted that I am not always going to have the luxury of having been given a blueprint for how all this is going to go. I don't have a whole blueprint right now. And even though I'm quitting myself, I'm semi-retiring, which I'm about to give you a little more detail on. If you wait to have a blueprint, you're just going to be waiting. I mean, at some point, you're going to have to trust what you know and act on what you know. Everybody says they trust what they know, but are you acting on what you know? Because if you're not acting on what you know, then you don't trust what you know. And you can also do, paralysis by analysis. You can research it to death and watch one more YouTube video and take one more class. I am not about not educating yourself and not empowering yourself and not bringing on mentors, because mentors and coaches and teachers can shorten your learning curve. You can be out there doing everything by yourself and figuring out everything by yourself through trial and error, and it can take you 10 years. Or you can get with a mentor, free or paid, and it might take you 2 years. There's no wrong in that situation about what's right for you, but do you have 10 years? Courtney said, I literally just said, give it 6 months. Yep. Good for you. Tammy said, create the blueprint. Michelle said, yes, indeed. Speak on it. Okay. So I want to talk about, I'm talking about my retirement. Well, before I do that, I want to talk about the 2 most powerful words. I did say I was going to talk about that. 2 of the most powerful words that will change your life. And I'm borrowing this from the author Liz Gilbert. Some of you know her from Eat, Pray, Love. She said 2 of the most powerful words for her that changed her life, and I agree, I co-sign on this, is not this. Not this. 2 of the most powerful words are not, going to put this in the chat. Not this. Now I'll tell you why. Because first of all, it is acknowledging that you are out of alignment or that the situation is out of alignment or what have you. Not this. Okay. When you come to this place of not this, usually you don't just arrive there casually. Usually a lot of things had to happen for you to get to this place of this clarity of, I don't know what, but not this relationship. I don't know what, but not this job. I don't know what, but not this way that I've been doing things, right? Because the power in those words is the acknowledgement that something has to change. And then it leads you to 2 more, even more powerful words. In my opinion, the next 2 words are more powerful than not this. The powerful words then come right after that, because the next powerful words are, if not this, then what? Or now what? Not this, now what? Because when you get to the place of, well, now what? You are open. You are wide open for the universe, God, spirit, whomever to do their work without you getting in your own way and resisting. Because usually before you got to not this, you were in resistance and holding on to something, trying to force something, trying to fit something, trying to wait for someone to catch up to where you are in your life, or you were dumbing yourself down to keep their pace. Then you said, not this. So you were in resistance and you were out of alignment. It may have even started off in alignment, but evolved to a place of out of alignment, or the season just changed. Sometimes that happens. Seasons change. Not everything and everyone is in your life for always. Sometimes it's a reason, a season, or a lifetime, if I can quote Iyanla Vanzant, right? Now what? So not this. And then you get to the place of surrender of now what? And I don't mean surrender as in giving up, but surrender as in giving up the resistance and actually pausing to see what else is possible. So it's not this. If you're tired and exhausted and overwhelmed, you are ready for a not this moment, because you can't continue. You can't be running a marathon at a sprinter's pace. It's not going to work. You're exhausted because you're doing that. You're doing too much. So at what point do you have to be like, not this? And sometimes it's not the person. Sometimes it's you and in your lack of boundaries with them and with yourself. I know I'm gonna step on some toes here. I'm talking to myself too. I was doing things in a way that was not kind to myself. If you had an employee, would you be asking them to do all the things that you are asking of yourself? No, because you'd be like, that's crazy, but yet we do it to ourselves. We do it to ourselves. And sometimes we have to wake up to the way that we are allowing others to treat us or the situations that we're allowing ourselves to remain in. But the minute we say, not this, something is shifting. There, even if you're still in a state of discomfort, there's power in that because you're recognizing that, oh, this is one option, and I don't know yet what the other options or options are, but I know this is not it. This ain't it. It's like multiple choice. This, that, and that, none of the above. And it's like, not this, not this, right? So then you get into the openness of the now what? Ooh, Tama said, if you want better treatment, you go first. Yes. Okay, so when you get to the now what, you don't have to always have the answer, but you can still be asking now what as you're walking away from not this. Not this is over here. That's what you're walking away from. Sometimes running away from. Sometimes skipping and dancing away from. Shelly said, this is just flowing so well from your call last month about exhaustion. Yep. That's been a big thing because that's what I see people need is to recognize the ways that we are exhausted and to unnormalize that. We have normalized being exhausted and overwhelmed, and that is some bullshit and some fuckery. That's just pure fuckery. It is not sustainable. Anthony Farmer says, waking up to how I treat myself and how I'm walking the walk. Yep. Courtney says, I don't want the dis-ease to turn into dis-ease. Yep. Not this, now what? Denise said, I learned to say no and take me time. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so when you get into your now what, are you still enough and patient enough for the next step to be revealed without you trying to micromanage it? Well, it has to be like this and it has to look like that. Okay, fine. You have some standards, but why are you trying to micromanage God? You think, are you in the blessing business? Maybe you are, but you know who's better at the blessing business than you are? God, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it, knows way more about blessings than you do. So you can sit up there and try to micromanage that, or you can let spirit do what spirit does and surprise and delight you. That's one of my themes for this year: surprises and delights. Surprises and delights. So getting uncomfortable with a certain level of uncertainty is required to get into this next stage. But we are in an energy right now where the great purge is what I'm calling what happened from 2020 to 2023. It wasn't just the COVID pandemic, but it was all the things. And a lot of clear desires came out of that, sometimes out of the pain of angst, right? But the seeds from that are now starting to sprout and bloom. And if you are trusting of yourself and a higher power, or even just yourself, that's fine too. Then in this season of expansion and evolution, you can really create something fabulous for yourself. You really can. You really can. So again, going back to not this, but going back to, are you the type that stays too long in the old dynamic, or are you the type that cuts and runs too quick? What's the old imbalanced, unhealthy, out of alignment pattern? And what is the opposite of that? Not the opposite of going from staying too long to leaving too early, but staying too long to listening to your spirit about what is the divine right time to take a step. Sometimes the step isn't to quit. Sometimes the step is to make a call and go catch up with a friend. And in the lightheartedness of that, someone stopped by your table and drops their business card on the ground and then picks it up and you're like, oh, wait, hey, I need to talk to you. Sometimes the answer isn't found where the problem resides. But if you are so fixated on this lane, you're going to miss out on all of this now what that's over here. So, any questions about not this now what before I get into what I'm doing with this retirement, why, how, when, and what's going to happen to me doing intuitive readings for you? Okay, I don't see any questions pop up on the screen yet. Sometimes it takes a minute, like a second or two delay. But anyway, and people keep texting me. All right, so yes, I'm retiring. I'm retiring. I'm firing myself. I am retiring from being a full-time psychic effective July 1. It's happening like now. Okay. And here's what's going on. I am being called in so many different directions. Whereas up until now, for the last 10 years, I have done thousands and thousands of readings over 10 years. I have not run any business. Now, this is my fourth business now for 10 years. I have been primarily a psychic, a full-time psychic who also does life coaching and retreats and teaches workshops and classes. What's happening is I'm basically flipping that on its head. I will primarily be doing retreats and some life coaching and classes and writing books and also being a psychic. So I'm reversing that. So I'm going from full-time psychic to very, very part-time psychic. What does that mean from a logistical way? Well, first of all, it means I'm opening myself to new directions. Even though I don't have the full blueprint, I know that I'm announcing something really fabulous in the next 2 weeks that I'm working on. And there's still a blank space there that hasn't yet been fully revealed and filled. And I'm okay with that because I trust spirit. Hey, Nicole. Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, April. And so what does this mean for you all? So up until June 30th, you can book your sessions at the regular rate and the regular schedule. After July 1, well, first of all, I'm not doing any readings for the month of July because I'm just taking off and I'm going to be traveling for the first few weeks anyway, but I'm giving myself a break like I did last year. The month of July, I didn't do any readings and it was a beautiful reset for me. Hi, Mom. So my mom is in here, Ifetaya White. And so what that means is I will still be doing some readings when I resume in August. Going forward, I'm not doing any more than 2 readings a week. 2. 1, 2. It means that the readings that I do, which have evolved so much over the last 10 years, they go so far beyond psychic readings. We get all deep into Akashic records and your soul's journey and your life purpose, and they get really, really deep. And I want to be able to hold that deepness. So what's now 1 hour readings are going to move into being 75-minute sessions. What's now half an hour readings are going to move into being 45-minute sessions so that we're not rushing and I'm not like, time's up, let me go to the next client. And I'm only doing 2 a week. And the pricing is what's really going to change. To reflect the level of depth and breadth of what happens when I go walking around all inside your energy and inside your soul and inside your past lives and communing with your angels and your ancestors and your spirit guides and mine. Everybody always asks what does a reading cost for them, but they never actually ever ask the psychic what does it cost them to do it. And for me to be able to walk that deeply and still come out with my soul, my heart, and my body and my mind intact, my pricing is now going to reflect what that is. So effective July 1, for any reading booked after July 1, the rate for the long session, which goes longer, is going from $497 to $997. And the one that was $249, which used to be a half an hour, which will be 45 minutes, is now going to $777. So that's what's true for me. That's what's real for me. That reflects how I want to be of service. And it also reflects what I'm offering and what it took for me to get to what I'm offering, right? So I'm happy with that. And I'm happy that I'm creating more room. So because when I announce what the new thing is, like I've said, retreats and coaching, but I'm creating a coaching program where you're going on retreat with me twice during the time of that small intimate group coaching. Is going to be 11 people. I'm going to get into the details and reveal the details and the destinations. And when I tell you, man, I was impressed. And I was just like, I want to be a person in the retreat. I mean, I'm going to be with you, but I was just like, this is this is probably one of the most greatest things I've ever created in my life. I'm excited about that. I'm excited. So, so what does this mean logistically for you guys? Any available time slot that's still open, which I think everything for June has been booked up already, is available at the current rate. And what I wanted to do is also offer everyone the opportunity to lock in the current rate for a year. And that means that if you buy yourself a voucher for a service at the current rate, at the hour or half an hour rate, you can still get a gift certificate. I will be honoring those gift certificates for the next year. So if you bought an hour gift certificate for yourself for a 1 hour reading, you can redeem that for your birthday in November or for the new year in January or whatever, because you already prepaid for it. You just hadn't scheduled it yet. But if you try to buy a new reading after July 1, it will be the new rates and the new structure with the new program name and the new rates and the new availability. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that, because if you holler at me July 1, first of all, I'm not answering because I'll be on vacation. But if you holler at me after June 30th, it will be the new rates. It won't be any, but I forgot, I didn't see the email. The people who subscribe to my email newsletter have known now for almost 2 weeks. I'm now announcing it on social media. And so I wanted to give my best clients who are my subscribers, close to a month's notice. Everybody else is getting 2 weeks notice. It's enough time for you to plan and buy yourself a voucher or a few. Some people bought like a reading for themselves every quarter, but they prepaid it in advance. Whatever you want to do, that's up to you. Also, I wanted to share along with that, and this applies to both the vouchers and any future readings or services that you get from me. If you would like some flexible payment terms, because I understand sometimes it's not the best timing to make a financial move or to purchase something. I get that. I've been there. Sometimes I'm there right now. There are some flexible payment options offered through PayPal, through Klarna, and some of these other flexible payment services. So through PayPal, if you are a PayPal account holder, most PayPal account holders, if you choose PayPal as your payment option when you buy something on my website, it will offer you, do you want to do a flexible 4 payments, where it's 4 payments spread out every 2 weeks. You can, I think the minimum purchase is anything over $35. The other option is if you have a Klarna account, which is also a flexible payment account, it will give you a one-time temporary credit card number to use on my site or I guess anywhere else. And then it will take that payment and then whatever payment agreement you already have with them, with Klarna, which is usually 4 payments over 2 weeks each, then you can pay for it that way. So I'm not directly offering the payment plan for readings. I will have one for the coaching program, but not for the readings. But you can do a flexible payment through PayPal. You can do a flexible payment through, if you have Klarna, and some of these other services too. I don't know the ins and outs of Afternic and Afterpay and all of the other ones, but the services that you have and whether using that one-time credit card temporary virtual number is an option for you. That will be available on your end on my site. Okay. Adrian says, yay. My mom says, be the demonstration, honey. Thank you. My mom lives by example. She doesn't preach anything. She just does her thing. And then when everybody sees her glow up, her 50 plus year of glowing up, as she's now 78, they're looking at her like, how'd you do that? And then she's happy to tell you, but she don't bother preaching to anybody. She's just like, this is what I do. Latana says, I love that you're creating room and space that works for the season of your life. Yes, thank you. Adrian said, I'll holler, but just to say what's up. Tamara says, Jamila's doing a Jay-Z retirement, and after his retirement, he dropped Watching the Throne. Show the Crown says, thank you. So I got to a place where I knew that I wanted to work differently. I just knew that it was moving in this direction. I thought it would be later on in the year, and that would be a very gradual phase out. But in May, Spirit was like, nope, you are not to carry this structure with you beyond July 1, period. In the story. It was like a line in the sand was drawn. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is what we're doing. And because, I'm not going to say I immediately jumped into action with announcing it. I had been creating a plan already, but then it was like, once I press send on this email about my retirement, there's no turning back. So it took me just a couple of days to be like, okay, I'm ready to do this. And then I did it. I announced it to my mailing list on June 6th. So, I thank you. There's so much support here about creating a life that serves me, so that I can also be of service to other people, but in a way that feels good to me. My life is not going to be about sacrifice, not in this way. My life, I feel that I can serve more people through my joy and my ease and my pleasure and my abundance than I can through any form of angst, burnout, exhaustion, or lack. That's how I see myself in the world, and that's what I believe. So I just wanted to share that. If you for the link to buy, if you want to go to get the vouchers, go to jamilawhite.com, click on the part about making an appointment, and then there's a place in there that asks you, where you want to buy gift certificates. I do need to update the text on that page to explain the retirement, because people are messaging me saying, hey, I went to your website to try to book and you're all booked up. That is correct. I will reopen the calendar at some point in July for appointments to be booked in August under the new pricing list, and under the new schedule where it's just 2 a week. Okay. Any questions about retirement, about outgrowing things, about evolving? And I also just want to say, when you outgrow something, that's not necessarily a judgment on that thing, that situation, that job, that relationship, that business, that way of being. It's just a recognition that it's time for change. It doesn't mean that the thing that you're moving in a new direction away from was bad or evil or wrong. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means, oh, we're in a new season. It's as simple as that. And you don't have to judge yourself either. When you evolve to a new level, when you level up, the tools that you used on the previous level sometimes don't work on the new level. If you were in survival mode, whether you recognize it or not, the tools that you were using do not work on thrive mode. And there may also be a period of adjustment as you acclimate to the new air pressure and the gravity pull of the new level. Oh, Portia said, yes, it's the burnout for me. Hey, Raven. Joy and ease, she said. Lashana said, really love this. Thank you for being the demonstration. Thais said, I love to watch how you shift and pivot with ease. And Thais, you've known me for a long time. You've seen me shift and pivot through different ways of offering myself to the world. Tam said, new level, new tools. Yeah, thank you. So I have questions for you guys. One of which is, when you're honest with yourself, what have you outgrown? What or who have you outgrown? When you're honest with yourself, what or who have you outgrown? What situation do you need to retire? What situation do you need to retire? And what new direction is calling you? Those are 3 questions for you to ponder. What have you outgrown, or who? What situation do you need to retire? And what new direction is calling you? Those are 3 questions. Oh, I need to add a 4th. What action will you take to move forward? PJ has a question. When you're in the midst of huge transition and the way hasn't been made clear, how do you stay out of fear? How do you keep trusting during uncertainty? That is an excellent question. Really good. How do you stay out of fear? The honest answer is sometimes you don't. Sometimes as you do it scared. Sometimes you trust while scared. That is the honest answer. I don't think that making a bold move or making a big shift is going to happen without fear, because usually if you aren't at least a little bit afraid, then you're probably still in your comfort zone, and nothing that you want is still in the comfort zone. Everything that you want that you don't already have is outside the comfort zone. And if you're not a little bit scared, then you're still operating inside the comfort zone. So how do you do it without fear? Is you breathe. First of all, seriously, breathing changes the chemistry in your brain. It also it tells your body that you're safe. So when you breathe more deeply, instead of shallowly from the top of your chest, but you drop below your heart and breathe from there, it actually changes the chemistry in your brain to a more relaxed state. 2, making peace with the fear. Name the fear. I'm afraid that this X, Y, and Z is going to happen, or this is not going to happen. And then you remind yourself of what is the truth of the situation. The truth of the situation is you're still here because you made it thus far. And that's the truth of the situation. The truth is that you're an abundant person who ultimately everything works out for you. And if it hasn't worked out for you, then it isn't complete. That's the truth of the situation. The truth of the situation is to remind yourself that I am safe and I'm learning how to feel safe even when I don't have all the answers. And just remind yourself of what's true. And also, who is in your circle? If you're feeling afraid, which is real, who can you talk to about that? And if you don't have friends or colleagues or support group or therapist, you need to add some people to your circle. Because one of the reasons I'm able to do what I do is because when I'm feeling afraid, one, I've learned how to trust, but even when I'm feeling afraid, I have people in my life who reflect back to me and remind me of who the fuck I am. They remind me of who I already am and where I've already been and what I've already survived. Because I be forgetting. Everybody needs someone in your life who's going to tell you the truth of who you are. And I don't mean what you do, but who you are and whose you are. You need those people in your life. And when you're just doing it all yourself and don't have anyone to talk to about that, it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy because you're just in an endless loop with the negative stories and the limiting stories and the limiting beliefs. You know, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. I have people like my mom. I have a great therapist. I now have a new business coach that I've been working with for the last couple of months, since November. I have wonderful friends and sorority sisters and family members who, you know, who will look me in my face and just be like, I know you're going to work this out. It's all good. It's fine to be afraid, but I know you. And sometimes they be like, I don't know you, but I know God. You know, so you need that. You're welcome, PJ. You're welcome. And that's also one of the reasons why I'm moving to a group coaching model. I do one-on-one life coaching. I've been doing life coaching since 2016. I don't even advertise it. There's no way on my website that someone could just sign up for life coaching. What naturally tends to happen is I'm in an intuitive session with a client or it's a return client, and something comes up and they don't want more than an intuitive reading. They want help. And then it evolved into life coaching, 3-month life coaching program, one-on-one. One of the reasons why I'm expanding into a group coaching program is because people need to see other people just like them who are moving through something and supporting each other, like-minded, like-hearted people, handpicked by me through process of application. You know, there's no place on my website that someone could just sign up and attend one of my in-depth, like in-person retreats. We need to make sure that you are intentional and of like mind and like heart, because I hold a very intimate space in my retreats, whether it's a 1-day retreat or a 1-week retreat in Barbados. It is a sacred space. And so there's always a vetting process for me. Anybody can have an intuitive reading. Anybody can sign up for one of my workshops, my online workshops. But when it is an in-depth program, I want people who are really committed to being present for themselves, not for me. You don't need to impress me, because there's nothing you can do or say that's going to impress me like that. I want to see what you're doing for you, right? So Jermaine says, I'm retiring from old emotional reactions and anger. Moving forward, I'm more stoic and in a place of increased trust. I have asked the universe for new friends, a new tribe, new friendships are opening up. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That's beautiful. Hi, Tiandra. I love that you have an application process. Yes. Okay. I'm just going to, be real. Everybody here has had a situation where you either you went on a trip or you had a group project at work or at school where somebody was assigned to the group and you're like, oh, hell, not this person. And that person either was toxic or they didn't show up fully and they weren't present, and it altered the energy of the group. And I'm not doing that with my groups. I don't do it with my groups. And I have no problem. I'd rather have 2 good people than to have filled 11 spaces with bodies just because they could pay. Nope. Not I. He just said I had a feeling I was the only one. Wasn't the only one. Yep. Yeah. Tiandra said it's so important to curate a safe space for participants. Yes. Yes, it is. Estee says, do you offer training? What kind of training are you asking about? I do all kinds of workshops and trainings, but I'm not quite clear what you're asking about. Adrian says yes. Tama says yup. Lashana says yup. Michelle says amen. Yeah. So I just want, and it's okay to not be a good fit. Just like any relationship, I'd rather know that this isn't a mutual good fit than us sitting up here. One of us is pretending. That just, when I turned 40, I stopped caring so much about what people thought. And let me tell you about 50. I don't even, I'm not even entertaining it. Like, I have no tolerance for inauthenticity. It is a total waste of my energy. I just won't participate. That's just me. I have no tolerance for it. I have even less tolerance for it. I don't do things that I don't want to do, period. Someone invites me somewhere and I love that person, but I don't want to go. I'll be like, I love you, and that's not for me. Can we catch up a different kind of way? And I just don't anymore. And I get my energy back. That's part of what I was teaching in the class about impact energy management, was how do you get your energy back? Because one of the reasons why we're exhausted is because we pretend, all the different ways that we pretend and perform and people please. That is one of the biggest energy drains. We're so busy talking about energy vampires and who out there is taking our energy that we're not dealing with the ways that we leak our own energy. Adrian says, a rather glorious feeling, isn't it? Yes, I love it so much. 50 is, and I don't say silly stuff like 50 is the new 40. No, 40 is 40 and 50 is 50, and they both are valid and have a place. And 60 is 60 and 70 is 70. My mom said 50 and 60 were the best, and she's seen a lot of decades. She said that's when women are their most powerful. Oh, training for intuitives and spiritual entrepreneurship. Yes, through my group coaching program is going to be part of that, is intuitive training, how to develop and trust your intuition over time. And that's also, it's going to be a 12-month program, because one of the things I recognize is people are so tired of 6-week online classes. They're over it. They don't want another class. They want real support over time. Like, they want real support. So that's why the new program is going to be 12 months. Who said happy birthday, Gemini? I'm a Cancer. Oh, no, I know it's Gemini season. Happy birthday to all the Geminis. I'm not trying to hate on y'all. But you got like, what, 2 more days before Cancer season? Cindy said, I love being 58 and knowing my true self. Yes. Tama said, pretending, performing, and people pleasing. Yep. Okay. So you guys have all the information you need. If you want to buy a voucher for yourself for an intuitive reading at the current rates, you can do so through my website, JamilaWhite.com. Let me put it up on the screen. Actually, I forgot to put that up there. Put my URL. So if you go to the place, my website is being rebuilt, but if you go to the place where it says book a reading, one-on-one reading, that's where you can also buy yourself a gift voucher, gift certificate for a half an hour or an hour session, or a specialty hours, 1 hour session like the Year Ahead or the Love Karma or whatever, because those formats are going to go away, and I'll be introducing a new description for the kind of readings that I'm doing. You will absolutely are welcome to book with me after July 1, but it just will be at the new rate, no exceptions. Mom says you got 2 good years. What does that mean? You got 2 good years. Cindy said, you taught me a couple things about people pleasing. I've been practicing the words, hell no, I will not. Okay, that's one way to do it. You could be a gentle no, or you could be a hard no, but just honoring your no is sacred. Your saying no is sacred. You say no in a sacred way so that you can open yourself to what you want to give a sacred yes to. We've all had the experience on some level of being overbooked or overcommitted to stuff we didn't want to do, and something showed up that we really wanted to do, or a person we really want to spend time with, and we couldn't because we said yes to all the bullshit. Nature abhors a vacuum, so if you create a space, the spirit is going to fill it. But part of the issue is we haven't created space for anything. There's no space. We don't have space. We don't have emotional space. We don't have physical space. We don't have time because we are overcommitted. We have normalized busy. We worship busy. And then we go around bragging about, oh, I'm too busy, but then we're miserable. Oh, that's what she said to all of us, 2 years. Well, explain that to me. Okay, so does anybody have questions, or is there something? What's coming up for you? What are you receiving? What are you taking away from our conversation today? What's the takeaway here? Oh, she said 2 years. Okay, mom said 2 more years because she's 78. And when she's 80, she said she's gonna hang with the masses. My mom said when she turns 80, everything's gonna change. She's gonna be doing things in a lot of new ways. Okay, when you said 2 years, you were talking about you. I thought you were talking about all of us. I know exactly what you mean. Okay. So the takeaway is Tama says, stop worshiping busy and I'm retiring from overcommitting. Yes. Yeah, so tell me either what are you retiring from? Drop it in the chat, or what's your takeaway from today? It might be the same thing, but what's your takeaway from today? What is your aha, or what is your takeaway? What is your commitment? You just spent up to an hour with me on a live stream, and now what? What are you going to get it out? What are you getting out of that hour? What's changed for you? What are you going to do different? It's your life, not mine. I'm going to be traveling the world. Takeaway for PJ, do it afraid. Yes, do it afraid. The antidote to fear is action. You do something often enough, it loses its power of fear over you. So, I love that's what your takeaway is. Yes, PJ. Yes. Jamie, hi, Jamie. Thank you for providing the validation. I already said not this to my full-time job, and I'm sitting in the what now. Good for you. Sometimes sitting in something, when it has the appearance that nothing is happening, can feel uncomfortable. But first of all, there's always something happening underneath the surface, even though it's not visible. When we think about planting a seed, a lot of what's important about that happens under the surface. But if we're looking from above, all we see is that's the same dirt that I saw a month ago. Nothing is happening. But that's how trees are made. That's how food is made. It starts under the surface, and it's really easy to say nothing's happening, but it is. Mom says committed to self-mastery. She's committing to people who are committed to themselves and their own mastery. Yes. Let's see, what does this one say? Oh, it scrolled off the screen. Hold on. I want to get these. Anna says, I'm retiring from overcommitting, people pleasing, and doubting myself. Yes. Cindy B says, retiring from guilt, which leads to over-pleasing. Yes. Tiandra says, I'm retiring from the fear of success. Ooh, that's juicy. Good for you. Tama says, let me see, get this on the screen. Uh-oh, something just rolled off the screen. Hold on. Do what you really want to do and satisfy your soul. Yes, I love that. Courtney said, acknowledging that this is not it and asking now what? I'm going to ask the questions, wait for guidance, and then ask. Good for you. Sometimes no action is an action and it's a deliberate choice. Sometimes being still is a deliberate choice. Thais said, my takeaway is not this, then what? And trust the process. Yes. Takeaway says, watch the playback of this live and journal all the gems. Oh, that's good. Journal all the gems that are dropped. And not this, now what? Yes. Jermaine says the takeaways are 1, not this, 2, give up resistance, 3, now what, 4, don't wait for the perfect blueprint, and 5, conduct the blueprint. Good for you. These are great takeaways, you guys. Cindy M says, I am, what does it say? I'm going full-blown Reiki, shaman, medicine, woman, healer, and be free to do what I want when I want. All right. What is the first step for that? Portia said, my takeaway is what is meant for me will come. Don't settle and don't get by. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. The models are retiring from overcommitting and living on fumes. Woo! Who else here is living on fumes? That hit a nerve with me. I've been there. Time to refuel myself in a better way. Absolutely. Let me tell you something that has been my mantra all year. You cannot work your way into ease. Ease brings more ease, but work brings more work. You cannot work your way into ease, right? So a lot of times people say they don't have enough work or they're looking for work. I'm never looking for work. I'm looking for money. I'm looking for ease. I'm not ever asking God for more work ever again in life. I've done enough work. I've done 5 lifetimes of work. Been a full-time entrepreneur for 27 years and 4 times in startup mode. I've done enough work. I don't need more work. I'm trying to work less. Even less than I'm working now. I want to work less. My title that I'm giving myself is Woman of Leisure. What do you do for a living, Jamila? I am a woman of leisure. I just attract money by being who I am. I don't get paid for what I do. I get paid for who I am. That's my new mantra. Adrian said, I just did a thing terrified. I walked away from a toxic job without a replacement. Can we give Adrian some love in this chat? Because that's huge. Walking in faith that universe will open up the right door soon. Take away, protect self, have faith. No room for being a chicken shit. Adrian, that's huge. Congratulations. Mom says, stop doing work, living in places that are not in alignment with your heart. Stop doing work that's not in alignment with your heart. Stop living in places that are not in alignment with your heart. Ooh, that's a word right there. And she's not just talking about individual homes, although that's part of it, is where you live, the town, the neighborhood, the city, the state, the region, the country. Is it in alignment with your heart? I answered that question for myself, and I'm in Barbados. Before I got to Barbados, I took the long route, didn't realize that that's how that was going to go. But I trusted spirit when it moved me to South Carolina, then to New Orleans, back to DC. And the whole time I'm like, what's happening? It was like, we're preparing you for Barbados. But I didn't understand that until I got here, even though I had asked for Barbados more than 10 years ago. April Michelle says, I picked up relief in honoring self. Bless you too, Cindy. Thank you. Tamika said, oh, this is good. Releasing the savior complex. Let me tell you about something, because I used to have some savior complex too. A lot of people who do healing work, it's a fine line between helping activate people's own healing to heal themselves versus trying to save them. And two things about saviors. One is some of this has to do with re-regulating your nervous system, of being the one as a child or young person that was emotional caretaker for adults. So a lot of people who have the savior mode learn that at a very early age, that I am responsible for this other person's happiness or well-being. I'm responsible for keeping the peace. The other part of that is I'm busy saving people so I don't have to deal with my own shit. Sometimes it's a combination of both. And it can start off as being well-intentioned, but saving people who don't want to be saved, you already know, because that's why you're saying that's what you're releasing. LaShannon says her takeaway is honor what I say yes to and commit to my mastery. Ooh, yeah, that's good. Tamika said live in my joy. Yes. Adrian said the bonus takeaway for me too. Thank you for saying this one. Which one was that? Shelly said, like every one of your live talks, this is hitting me at the exact right time. After all the stress and busy that brought me to your talk last month about exhaustion, my body broke down and I just had my gallbladder out 2 weeks ago. Woo, wow, Shelly. I'm experiencing this as an opportunity. I was already starting to say not this and now moving into now what. That's beautiful. I am sorry to hear that you weren't doing well with your gallbladder, but I trust that you are recovering, and that more importantly than just your body, that your spirit is recovering and normalizing a new way of being that does not cost you your physical and mental health. Also, everybody go drink some water, like for real. Keisha says that the last 2 years of protecting my energy was not but necessary, not selfish, but necessary. Thanks for the confirmation. You're welcome. Anna said, action, complete the certifications I need to take, know that I'm enough. Yes, you are. Hey, Monica. Monica says, retiring from friendships that are forced. If it's forced, it's not friendship. And a lot of us have frenemies, friend enemies, people who are one way in your face and another way behind your back. That's not friendship. But yeah, if it's forced, any relationship has a give and take to it. And that's normal. We're not always all up at the same time. That's why we have a give and take. There's a time when your friend or your person that you're in a relationship with is having a low season. It's not necessarily, oh, you're not doing well, so I'm just leaving you behind. That's not what I'm talking about. But when you feel like I don't even want to be here, why am I here? I'm here because of guilt or obligation or shame or what will people think, then it's time to go, or at least to pause and reevaluate and then probably go. Jermaine said, if your history is taking too much time, make a decision, move more quickly. Yes, that's a really important lesson we talked about earlier. What has been your out of balance dysfunction before? Was staying in a situation too long or cut and run? So if you know what your history is, you know how you need to approach this now. And that is release it more early if you're the one that always stayed too long and was either the last to know or you knew but was too afraid to take action. Rika said, you are talking to me right now. I'm talking to me right now. Taylor said, the takeaways, you cannot work your way into ease. Simplicity ushers ease right on in. It sure does. PJ also said you cannot work your way into ease. That's the takeaway. Thais, you cannot work your way into ease. Taylor said, do I have to work at all? Absolutely not. I'm also I'm not trying to. I have learning to replace the word in my own speech and vocabulary. I'm not telling anybody that this is what they need to do. I'm no longer saying that this is what I do for work or, this is how I work. What I'm saying is how I'm choosing to share myself. I'm using the word share rather than work. I told you, I don't want no more work. I don't want anything else that feels like work. I'm done. I don't want relationships to feel like a whole lot of work. I don't want work to feel like a whole lot of work. I don't want receiving money in abundance to feel like a whole lot of work. What I'm doing is sharing who I am and what I know. Other people can choose to call that work. It's up to you, but this is what's most aligned in the words that most reflect the energy that I'm holding right now. So no, you don't have to work at all. Jennifer, hey Jennifer, as I say. Jermaine said, go Adrian. PJ said, I don't get paid for what I do. I get paid for who I am. I think that's what you said. Yep, that's what I said. That's my goal. That is my goal. I don't want to be doing things because if I get paid for doing things, that means I got to I can keep doing them to get paid. What if I want to rest? And being who I am means I do certain things automatically, naturally as an extension of who I am, but I don't have to go make money. My decision is that I can receive money from who I am. It took 50 years to come to that conclusion. Cindy said, meditate, commit to at least 5 minutes a day. That's her takeaway. Great. All right. Jermaine Simmons says, peace and greetings. I'm Pisces. I'm a server of the collective, and I love how I can free myself from wanting to help and fix at all for the ones around. Good for you. Hey, Khadija said, yes, I've taken the past 2 years to take care of me and build my business, releasing the shame of not living a traditional life. Ooh, mic drop. Releasing the shame of not living a traditional life, because so many of us are feeling like because we're either creating our own path, following our own inner guidance, and it doesn't look like what other people are doing, or it doesn't look like what most people are doing, we feel embarrassed, ashamed, or just like afraid of being judged. That's real. So releasing the shame of not living a traditional life, whatever that means for you, however that shows up for you, you are built uniquely you, and it's okay to live a life that's not traditional. That's for everyone. Thank you for sharing that, Khadija. Trixie, I'm ready to quit my job and see where life takes me. Go for it. Adrian said, my bonus takeaway was about retiring from being afraid of success, also said by Tiandra Brown. And it's past dynamic with staying in situations too long. Tiandra said, I love it. I share my gifts. I don't work. That's right. I am releasing the whole concept of work. I'm just releasing it. It has not served me well. Work has brought me more work. Work has brought me more work. I want ease because ease begets ease. Peace begets peace. And violence begets violence. So work begets work. And ease begets ease. Adrian says, so many takeaways. Love it. Courtney says, yes. He said, I share my gifts. Hey, Elise. What's up, beautiful queen yourself? Portia said, for real, sis is tired. Khadija, thank you so much. All right, you guys. I said I wasn't going to do a live. That's too long. I did an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes almost. That's short for me because I'll be going on these 2-hour rants on my lives. But I am going to rest myself. I have a full day of clients tomorrow. I want to be rested so that I can be loving to myself as I serve my clients. And that means it's 9:21. I'm logging off. I'm going to drink myself some water because hydration. Sometimes y'all aren't just exhausted, y'all dehydrated, but it's normalized for you so you don't recognize it. Drink water till your pee is almost clear, right? I love you. I love you guys. Khadija, right. Work is triggering. Amen to that. Me and my ancestors, I thought I worked a lot, but my whole ancestry worked a lot. And they're about me resting. They didn't do all that sacrifice and slaving for me to be up here working myself, being my own slave driver and driving myself into the ground. What is that about? That's not what they're here for. PJ says, and we love your 2-hour rants. Thank you so much. Adrian said, thank you for sharing your time and your wisdom. Have a phenomenal rest of the month. Thank you so much. Courtney said, love you. Thank you for your welcome. Thank you, you guys. I want you to know that although I'm retiring from being a full-time psychic, again, I am going to continue to do readings on a limited basis, twice a week or two per week, at a different, a whole different structure and a different price point, and that's totally okay. Um, I want you to know that this is not the end. I'm still here. I'm still going to be on Facebook. I'm still going to be doing lives. I'm still going to be teaching my classes. You're going to see and hear a lot more about my retreats that I'm hosting. You're going to see and hear a lot more about how I incorporate my love and my passion for travel into how I'm offering myself to you all. And I'm still here. I still want to hear about you guys and how you're doing. This is not the end, but this is a pivot. This absolutely is a pivot. Thank you so much. Thank you, Akeisha. Thank you, Khadijah. I remember meeting you at the Girl Trek stress protest in Colorado. I'm so glad we connected there. Let's continue to connect. Hey, Jamie. Thank you so much. I was so happy to see your name pop up in here. It's been a while. I hope you're doing well. Hey, Rika. Likewise. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you guys so much. I love you, love you, love you. Thank you for giving me the space to be me, and for being so encouraging and supportive of how I can express being me. It really means a lot to me. It really, really does. I love you guys. I love you, love you, love you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Thais. Thanks for rocking with a sister for decades, man. I appreciate you. All right, you guys, have a beautiful evening. Go rest and drink water. Go rest and drink water. What's that song? Drink water, mind your business. That is such a beautiful mantra. I love you guys. Have a great evening. Bye.